everyone, Dukaness here with part 2 of my Burning Shrine game tape review. A link to part 1 is in the description, and I'm assuming everyone has seen that. Just to get everyone up to speed, we went down 3-0 and then managed to win round 4 because our opponents weren't aggressive enough. We were expecting the exact same strategy from them in round 5. That's because teams tend to stay with the same strategy if it's working, and further, if they do something different and then lose, even if it's heavy round, they tend to revert back to what was working before. We decided we'd play passive and let them come to us. Seizure unfortunately gets picked at the start of the round again. Wiz and I stay back, hoping to get a pick, and Wiz comes through and lands a snipe. Let me stop this real quick. Our enemies had us in a 3v2. Trying to snipe when you have the man advantage is a bad play. Giving the other team a chance to even the score with one pull of the trigger is riskier than collapsing with primaries. It's much harder for 2 players to win an engagement against 3 players than it is for them to get a snipe and then win the 2v2. To make matters worse, the Warlock then challenges us solo. This is another mistake. They should have either played for the res or challenged us together. Both of those plays would have been better than trying to challenge us in a 1v2. Wiz lays him out solo, and now we have the man advantage. Seizure calls out that the last player is going for a res. To avoid making the same mistake their Warlock just made, I throw a skip while I wait for Wiz. He catches up to me, and then we challenge at the same time. It's critical that you challenge at the exact same time if your opponent has a shotgun, because if you funnel in even half a second after each other, you give your opponent the opportunity to clutch the round. The other team is likely starting to feel the pressure at this point. Going up 3-0, followed by dropping 2 rounds in a row and knowing your opponents also have supers is not a good feeling. They end up changing their strategy and sending 1 player to each entry from outside. Seizure and I both land a quick snipe. The defender then makes what I consider a good play. He charges the orb and pops a bubble to get the res. I always talk about anticipating supers. We did a poor job anticipating this. Usually, in the middle of a game, if we get into a 3v1 situation, the first thing I do is check the scoreboard to see what super the remaining player has. I was too busy bragging about my snipe to check this, which is a lesson for me, because that kill is meaningless unless we win the round, so there's no point in bragging yet. I've played with enough defenders to know how stupid players can be. It never ceases to amaze me how many players try and challenge the Titan inside his own bubble. You are at a severe disadvantage, so when you see a defender pop a bubble, just walk in the other direction. After 45 seconds, that bubble disappears, and the other team has effectively wasted a super just to get a res. Since we play a very disciplined game, we do exactly this by making our way over to the other body to defend the orb. This is until Wiz says he has a Nova Bomb. Pay careful attention to how coordinated we are here. Seizure tells Wiz he's going to wombo after Wiz breaks the bubble. Seizure and I simultaneously hurdle the wheel as Wiz dunks our opponents. Seizure's wombo comes in just as planned, and we team kill our opponents. This was a perfectly executed attack, and I wouldn't have changed anything in this round. We go into round 7 expecting a Blade Dancer and or a Stormtrance super. Seizure gets a pick right off the bat, and then we make the same mistake we've been making all game. We try and collapse from different angles, but our opponents see the 1v2 opportunity and isolate Wiz again. This was a heads-up play by the other team, because when you're about to be pinched, finding the isolated player is a good way to even the score. They pop their Stormtrance to clean up the round. If I could redo this round, I'd have my whole team cover the orb together. We should have expected them to pop a super to try and save the round, so being together to team kill would have been a good play call. Round 8 was a quick round. With us in a do or die situation, I obviously have to go in with my blade. I see my opponents funnel towards the bridge, as expected, and I pop my super. A Blade Dancer, like most roaming supers, is very easy to take out if your whole team is firing at them. To be honest, I thought I was going to die right here when I turn the corner and see all my enemies looking at me. For some reason, 2 players run away, leaving 1 guy attacking me. I easily hunt them down for a quick triple. If even 2 of them had stuck around for a shotgun melee, they would have melted me. Don't be afraid of roaming supers if your whole team is together. Going into round 9, we know that they have a Blade Dancer and Seizure has his tether. The plan was to sit on heavy and let the blade come at us. Our opponents had a good approach. They sent the blade in with 1 behind him on C flag and another player through bridge for a flank. As expected, the blade pops. We patiently wait for him before Seizure drops a tether. Wiz and Seizure team kill the blade while I trade with the Warlock. They get my res and they finish the Titan off. Staying tight and waiting for the blade to attack us was a good play call. Anytime you have a super that can cancel another super, playing passive and letting them come to you is usually a good play because you can anticipate where they're coming from and shut them down as a team. Let's recap what we covered in the final half of the game. When you have a 3v2 advantage, the worst thing you can do is give your enemy an opportunity to get a one-hit kill. This means avoiding snipe battles or pushing someone who has a shotgun in a tight place. The second worst thing you can do is funnel towards the remaining 2 players one by one, allowing them to team kill you. Our enemies did both of these things in round 5, which let Wiz and I win a 2v3. We also made the mistake of funneling in round 7 by letting our enemies 1v2 Wiz, even though we were in a 3v2. I can't stress this next point enough. When a defender pops a bubble, walk the other way, please. Forcing an opponent to use a super for nothing but a res is your advantage. You risk that advantage by challenging their bubble without a super. Speaking of supers, I want to emphasize that 3 people team killing a mobile super will absolutely melt that player. Given that a mobile super has a 50% damage reduction, it's like trying to kill 2 players. With 3 players shooting at what is essentially 2 players, you only need to deliver about 133 damage each, which is just about 2/3 of the damage it would take 1 player to drop a regular Guardian. So if you're beside your team and a mobile super is coming your way, don't run. Stand your ground and melt them. The enemy team failed to do this, which gave us round 8, and then we succeeded doing this to wrap up the game. On the note of wrapping up, that's it for this 2-part video. I put a decent amount of time into this, so I'd appreciate if you guys could zap that like button. Just before I go, I want to let you guys know I'm going to be running people for Scarab Heart emblems this weekend, since it's the last weekend of trials before Rise of Iron. If you come into my stream with 9 wins on a card, we're going to play until you get it, or until we run out of losses. Hopefully your night ends like this.
Great game, JP. Good shit.
Thanks, you guys.
Let's go! Oh, baby!
Oh, unbelievable, dude.
We're on fucking fire, boys. Let's get it!